And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at a compilation footage of a left-wing protest. And I want you to look at, the video and again just draw the certain similarities that you see in each of these. But I want to ask the question, really, what is really going on with regard to these? Like the big question everyone is asking is fairly simple. Why is this issue that motivates them more than anything happening in the country at this moment in time? You know, they want open borders and they want refugees to be welcome, right? Again, it doesn't necessarily make sense when you've got a cost of living crisis, you've got an NHS backlog exploding, you've got crime concerns, you've got housing shortages, and communities feeling ignored. But yet these people on the far left are constantly campaigning for these people to come into the country, the invaders to stay within the country. They want them to come through into the United Kingdom, despite the statistics that we see that shows that is bad for this country. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, and let's have a watch of this video footage.
Tell me what Manchester looks like. This is what Manchester looks like. Tell me what Manchester looks like. This is what Manchester looks like. Tell me what Manchester looks like. This is what Manchester looks like. Tell me what Manchester looks like. This is what Manchester looks like. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here.
Say it clear. Say it loud, say it clear.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are, bro.
Now, as you can see the sort of common denominator there. But let's ask the question, what is really going on? Is this organic or is it, of course, organized? Now, I'm not claiming people are being paid. That would cross into speculation. But what is true and what is well documented is that many of these protests are coordinated by professional activist organizations. These groups often recruit volunteers through social media, provide placards, arrange transport and mobilize people for political messaging. So while the individuals may be passionate, the structure behind these protests are certainly not random. Now I ask the question, what motivates them as individuals? Now I do believe, and I've looked into it, is ideological conditioning. A lot of activists genuinely believe that supporting unlimited migration is a moral obligation, almost suicide empathy. They've been taught, especially online and in university, that borders, identity and national interest are negative concepts, despite, of course, all the statistics stating that it is not good for your country. And also, this is where I get my very passionate on. I do find social pressure and identity signaling for many activism becomes a social badge. It's less about understanding the long-term consequences and more about fitting in your local community or university or friendship group, being seen as compassionate. This is something that the ones on the left want to be seen as. It's kind of covert narcissism in a way, and earning approval in left-wing circles. The disconnect, though, from reality, many live in areas that aren't typically impacted by high-intensity migration, and it's easy to champion policies when you don't personally face the consequences. You know, if it's not going to affect me, then I don't really care. That's the kind of mantra that they have. That's why they all kind of are the same. They're kind of like these like they're from like middle class that turn into the sort of blue hair, septum piercing, all of these kind of things, liberal, sort of trans, etc., etc. They're all from the sort of group, but a lot of them, the ones that are campaigning, when you see the sort of white British ones, they're from the sort of middle class that are refuting their father. They want to find a different identity to the wealth that their family generated and find this different route. But the bigger issue, I certainly do believe, is that this part will frustrate many people watching this. They never protest for the working class. These individuals, these left wing, they never protest for the working class. They never protest for families who can't get GP appointments. They never protest for communities struggling with housing, their own people, the people that are entitled to live in this country. They only mobilize for issues imported from activist circles, never for ordinary British people. And that's why so many feel this movement is completely detached from the real priorities of this country. So it isn't just about protest, in my personal opinion. It's a symptom of a deeper problem. A section of the population has been convinced that supporting large-scale migration is more important than supporting the very communities they live in. But I am interested to know your thoughts on those protests, the demographics of the individuals that are doing it, and why they sort of protest and go out of the way for sort of things go against the sort of grade that's going to actually impact them. So do let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. In other news, Pakistani migrants are exploiting holiday work and student visa loopholes to lodge asylum claims in record numbers, new data has revealed. The data found almost 10,000 Pakistani nationals entered Britain on temporary visitor, work, or student visas before switching to claim asylum last year in attempts to secure permanent residency. Pakistan now leads all 175 nations from which migrants seek refugee status in the UK, with more than 11,000 asylum applications recorded, placing it ahead of Afghanistan, Iran, and Eritrea. The figures obtained by the Conservative Party through Freedom of Information requests show Pakistani nationals accounted for 1 in 10 of all asylum claims. This represents a dramatic surge from 2022, when Pakistan submitted just 2,154 claims. The data indicates that 37.6% of all asylum applications in 2024 came from people who had initially entered Britain through legal and temporary routes. Pakistan dominated across all visa categories, emerging as the only nationality to appear in the top 3 for student, work, visitor, and other routes before switching to asylum claims. Pakistani nationals made 9,783 asylum claims after entering on various visas, representing around 24% of all visa to asylum switches in 2024. The country topped the list for student visa switches with 5,888 claims, more than India's 2,295 and Bangladesh's 2,374 combined. For visitor visas, Pakistan placed second with 902 switches to asylum, behind China's 1,094. It also came second for work visa switches with 2,578 claims, after Bangladesh's 3,268. Overall, 40,739 migrants claimed asylum last year after arriving on legitimate visas, with more than 16,000 entering as students, around 11,400 on skilled worker visas, and over 9,400 as visitors. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp condemned the figures, saying, "Britain's broken border and visa system is being openly abused. Tens of thousands are walking straight through the front door, exploiting legal visas and staying for good. It's a complete failure." He called for tough, decisive action to stop the exploitation, adding, "Asylum cannot be used as a backdoor route for people who came here to study and then refuse to leave when their visa ends." Jamie Jenkins, former head of health and employment statistics at the ONS, added that the figures revealed how the immigration system was being gamed from the inside, rather than just at the borders. With 162,000 visas granted to Pakistani nationals in the past year, the numbers reveal a clear loophole. The UK's generous visa system is feeding directly into record asylum claims, he told The Telegraph. The rise of Pakistan in the asylum league tables exposes a truth politicians often avoid. Britain's migration system isn't just failing at the borders, it's failing within them. Yes, small boats matter. But legal entry, then asylum claim, shows how the system is being gamed from inside. Peter Walsh, a senior researcher at Oxford University's Migration Observatory, said it was difficult to pinpoint why Pakistani asylum claims had increased so dramatically. He noted reports of worsening economic and environmental conditions, along with security concerns and insurgency in some regions of Pakistan. The revelations come just after Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood announced new measures forcing migrants who entered illegally, including visa overstayers, to wait 20 years before being allowed to settle. Their asylum status will be reviewed every 30 months, with potential returns if their home country is deemed safe. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.